The 1980 P United States quarter dollar is an interesting piece of modern American coinage, minted during a transitional economic period in U.S. history. Officially known as the Washington Quarter, it was produced by the United States Mint at its Philadelphia facility in 1980. The P mint mark indicates it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, located in Philadelphia. Prior to 1980, Philadelphia quarters typically did not carry a mint mark, but beginning in 1980 the P was added to help distinguish production among mint facilities. This coin carries the traditional inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum," all of which have deep historical and symbolic meaning within the United States. The obverse front of the coin features the left-facing portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States, whose likeness has appeared on the quarter since 1932 in honor of the 200th anniversary of his birth. The design of Washington's portrait was created by sculptor John Flanagan, whose initials JF can be found subtly on the coin. Above Washington's head appears the word liberty, while to the left is the motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that became the official national motto of the United States in 1956. The date, 1980, is located to the right of Washington's portrait, and beneath it appears the P mint mark. On the reverse, back, side of the 1980 P quarter, the design also by John Flanagan features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation, while olive branches beneath the arrows represent peace. Above the eagle is the Latin phrase "E Pluribus Unum," meaning out of many, one, reflecting the unity of the original 13 colonies into one nation. The eagle is surrounded by the words United States of America and the denomination quarter dollar. This classic reverse design was used from 1932 until 1998, when it was replaced by the 50-state quarters program. The 1980 P quarter is composed of a copper-nickel clad composition, meaning it contains an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This clad composition was introduced in 1965 to replace the earlier 90% silver quarters due to rising silver prices. The coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and a reeded edge consisting of 119 reeds. In terms of mintage, the 1980 P quarter had a very high production total, with over 488 million coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint, reflecting the heavy demand for circulating coinage during that period. Because of this large mintage, the coin is generally considered common and is usually worth only its face value of 25 cents in circulated condition. However, uncirculated examples in mint state condition can carry a modest premium, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services. Coins with exceptional luster, minimal contact marks, and strong strikes are more desirable among collectors. Additionally, error varieties such as off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on incorrect planchets can command significantly higher values depending on rarity and condition. Historically, the year 1980 was a time of economic challenges in the United States, including high inflation and interest rates. Jimmy Carter was president during most of 1980, and later that year Ronald Reagan was elected, marking a political shift. While the quarter itself does not commemorate a specific event in 1980, it circulated widely during this significant period in American history. The continued use of Washington's image symbolized stability and continuity amid economic and political change. Collectors often examine the 1980 P quarter for strike quality, as some coins from this era may show weaker details on Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers due to high-speed minting processes. Coins stored carefully, since minting may retain their original mint luster, which appears as a cartwheel-like shine when tilted under light. Proof versions of the 1980 quarter were also produced, but these were struck at the San Francisco Mint and carry an S mint mark, making them distinct from the circulation strike 1980 P quarter. Overall, the 1980 P United States quarter dollar represents a continuation of a long-standing American coin design tradition. Its inscriptions, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and "E Pluribus Unum," reflect the nation's values of freedom, faith, and unity. Though common in everyday change, the coin holds historical, artistic, and symbolic importance as part of the broader story of United States coinage and the enduring legacy of George Washington on American currency. The next top. The 1988 United States quarter dollar is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, one of the most recognized and widely circulated coins in American history. This particular coin was struck in 1988 at the United States Mint facility in Denver, indicated by the D Mint mark found on the obverse front of the coin. The Washington Quarter series was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Although originally intended as a one-year commemorative issue, the design proved so popular that it permanently replaced the earlier standing Liberty Quarter design and has remained in use in various modified forms ever since. The 1988 quarter therefore represents part of a long and continuous American coinage tradition that reflects both national identity and everyday commerce. On the obverse of the 1988 quarter appears the left-facing portrait of George Washington. This portrait was based on a bust sculpted by French artist Jean-Antoine Houdon in 1785. The coin's original obverse designer was John Flanagan, whose initials JF can be found near the base of Washington's neck on most issues. Surrounding the portrait are several important inscriptions. Above Washington's head is the word liberty, representing the foundational American value of freedom. To the left of the portrait is the national motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that first appeared on U.S. coins during the Civil War era and later became the official national motto in 1956. The date, 1988, appears at the bottom of the obverse, marking the year of minting, while the small d Mint mark to the right of Washington's ponytail signifies that the coin was produced at the Denver Mint. The reverse back of the 1988 quarter features a heraldic eagle with wings outstretched, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons. Beneath the arrows are two olive branches, symbolizing peace. This eagle design also was created by John Flanagan and reflects a strong, classical style consistent with early 20th century American coinage. Above the eagle is the inscription, "United States of America," clearly identifying the issuing nation. Just below that, in smaller letters, appears E pluribus unum, a Latin phrase meaning out of many one. This motto refers to the unity of the states forming one nation. At the bottom of the reverse is the denomination quarter dollar, indicating the coin's value of 25 cents. In terms of composition, the 1988 quarter is made of a copper-nickel clad composition. Specifically, it consists of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. This layered construction was introduced in 1965, replacing the earlier 90% silver composition that had been used in quarters minted before that year. The change was made due to rising silver prices and a national coin shortage. The coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, with a reeded, grooved edge designed partly to deter counterfeiting and historically to prevent silver shaving. Although the 1988 quarter contains no silver and is therefore not intrinsically valuable for precious metal content, it remains an important collectible as part of annual coin sets and numismatic collections. The Denver Mint, where this coin was struck, is one of several facilities operated by the United States Mint. Established in 1906 as a branch mint, after functioning earlier as an assay office, the Denver Mint has produced billions of coins for circulation. In 1988 alone, the mintage of the 1988 Washington quarter reached into the hundreds of millions, making it a common coin in everyday circulation. Because of its high mintage, most 1988 quarters found in pocket change today are worth only face value unless they are in uncirculated condition or possess a mint error. However, coins in pristine mint state condition, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services, can command modest premiums among collectors. From a historical perspective, the 1988 quarter belongs to the pre-50 state quarters era. The original Washington quarter reverse design with the eagle remained in use from 1932 until 1998. In 1999, the reverse design changed dramatically with the introduction of the 50 State Quarters program, which featured unique designs for each state. Therefore, the 1988 D issue represents one of the final decades of the classic eagle reverse that many Americans grew up using in daily transactions. Collectors of Washington quarters often examine coins like the 1988 D for specific varieties or mint errors. Potential errors can include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, or die cracks. While major varieties for 1988 D are not especially famous compared to other years, error coins from this year can still carry collectible interest. The condition of the coin significantly influences its value. Circulated examples typically show wear on Washington's hair and the eagle's breast feathers. Uncirculated coins retain sharp detail, full luster, and no signs of wear on high points. Culturally, the 1988 D quarter is a small but tangible artifact of late 1980s America. It circulated during the final year of the presidency of Ronald Reagan and the election year that would bring George H.W. Bush to office. Every coin serves as a miniature historical document, silently passing through countless hands during purchases, vending machine transactions, laundromat visits, and savings jars. Though modest in monetary value, it carries symbolic weight as a representation of American governance, trust, unity, and national identity. In summary, the 1988 D United States quarter dollar is a copper-nickel-clad coin struck at the Denver Mint as part of the Washington Quarter Series. Featuring the portrait of George Washington on the obverse with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 1988, and displaying the heraldic eagle reverse with United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and quarter dollar, the coin embodies enduring American symbols and mottos. While common in circulation and generally worth face value, it remains historically and numismatically meaningful as part of the long tradition of U.S. coinage. The next top. The United States of America quarter dollar 1990 D is a circulation coin of the United States of America, officially valued at 25 cents, 1/4 of a dollar. The D Mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the main production facilities of the United States Mint. In 1990, the quarter was still part of the long-running Washington Quarter Series, a design that had been in use since 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The obverse front of the 1990 D quarter features a left-facing portrait of Washington, originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Above Washington's head appears the word Liberty, representing freedom as a foundational principle of the nation. To the left of the portrait is the national motto, In God We Trust, a phrase officially adopted as the United States motto in 1956, reflecting the historical and cultural role of faith in American public life. On the right side of the portrait appears the date, 1990, and just below the date, near Washington's ponytail ribbon, is the small D Mint mark identifying the Denver facility. The reverse, back, of the 1990 D quarter displays an eagle with wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation. Beneath the arrows are 2 olive branches, representing peace. This reverse design was also created by John Flanagan and remained largely unchanged from 1932 until 1998, when the State Quarters program began. At the top of the reverse is the inscription, United States of America, clearly identifying the issuing country. Beneath that appears E Pluribus Unum, a Latin phrase meaning out of many one, signifying the unity of the states into a single nation. At the bottom of the reverse is the denomination quarter dollar. The composition of the 1990 D quarter is a clad structure introduced in 1965. It contains an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. This gives the coin its silver-like appearance while maintaining a copper-colored edge visible when viewed from the side. The coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, and a reeded, grooved edge with 119 reeds, which historically helped prevent clipping of precious metal when coins were made of silver. In terms of mintage, The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of 1990 D quarters for circulation, making it a common coin in everyday change. Because of its high production numbers and base metal composition, the 1990 D quarter generally carries no premium above face value in circulated condition. However, uncirculated examples in mint state condition, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services, may have modest collector value. Coins with exceptional luster, sharp strike details, and minimal contact marks are more desirable. Additionally, error varieties such as off-center strikes, double dies, or clipped planchets can carry significant premiums depending on rarity and condition. The 1990 D quarter does not contain silver, unlike quarters minted before 1965, which were composed of 90% silver. Therefore, its value is primarily numismatic rather than intrinsic metal value. Historically, the Washington Quarter series represents one of the most recognizable and enduring designs in American coinage. The choice of George Washington reflects his importance in American history as commander of the Continental Army during the Revolutionary War and as the nation's first president. The motto, "In God We Trust," first appeared on U.S. coins during the Civil War era in the 1860s and became standard on most denominations over time. E pluribus unum has appeared on U.S. coins since 1795 and expresses the idea of unity among diverse states and people. By 1990, the Washington Quarter had become a familiar part of daily commerce, used in vending machines, parking meters, and countless transactions across the country. Collectors often examine the 1990 D quarter for strike quality, especially in the hair details of Washington and the feather definition on the eagle's breast and wings. Weak strikes can reduce the clarity of these features. The coin's luster, produced during the minting process when metal flows into the dies under high pressure, is another important factor. Original mint luster appears as a cartwheel effect when the coin is tilted under light. Coins that have been heavily circulated typically show wear on the high points, such as Washington's cheek and jawline and the eagle's breast feathers. Proper storage in coin holders or albums can help preserve uncirculated examples. The year 1990 falls near the end of the traditional Washington Quarter reverse design period, just before the major redesign initiative of the late 1990s. In 1999, the United States Mint launched the 50-state quarters program, dramatically changing the reverse design each year to feature individual states. Thus, the 1990 D quarter represents part of the classic era of uniform quarter design that spanned more than 6 decades. Although it is not rare, it remains an important piece of modern American coinage history, illustrating the artistry, symbolism, and manufacturing practices of the United States Mint at the close of the 20th century. For collectors and historians alike, the 1990 D Washington Quarter embodies national identity through its inscriptions, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," "United States of America," and "E pluribus unum," and through its enduring portrait of George Washington, making it both a functional instrument of commerce and a small but meaningful artifact of American heritage. The next top. The 1991 United States Quarter Dollar is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, one of the most recognizable coins ever produced by the United States Mint. First introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the Washington Quarter replaced the earlier standing Liberty Quarter design and has remained in circulation, with design updates ever since. The 1991 issue belongs to the modern clad era of U.S. coinage, meaning it is composed not of silver, but of a copper core bonded between 2 outer layers of copper nickel. This composition, 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel overall, had been in use for quarters since 1965, when rising silver prices led to the removal of precious metal from circulating dimes and quarters. The 1991 P quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the small P mint mark located on the obverse front of the coin, to the right of Washington's ponytail. Philadelphia had not used mint marks on quarters for many decades until 1980, so by 1991 the P had become a standard identifying feature. On the obverse of the 1991 P quarter appears the familiar left-facing portrait of George Washington, originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Flanagan based his design partly on a bust of Washington created by Jean-Antoine Houdon in 1786, which is considered one of the most accurate likenesses of the first president. Above Washington's head is the word liberty, reflecting a foundational American ideal. To the left of his profile is the national motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that first appeared on U.S. coins during the Civil War era and became mandatory on all U.S. coins in 1955. The date, 1991, is positioned below the portrait. The inscriptions are rendered in clean, bold capital letters, typical of late 20th century coinage. The overall design is dignified and restrained, reflecting both neoclassical influences and a desire for clarity in mass production. The reverse, back, of the 1991 P quarter features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, also designed by John Flanagan. The eagle is perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing military readiness and defense, and beneath two olive branches, which represent peace. This imagery echoes elements found on the Great Seal of the United States, reinforcing themes of unity, strength, and national sovereignty. Above the eagle appears the inscription, United States of America, and below it is the denomination quarter dollar. The Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, is displayed above the eagle's head. This motto, adopted in 1782, reflects the union of the original 13 colonies into one nation and continues to symbolize American unity amid diversity. The layout is symmetrical and balanced, with the eagle forming the central focal point. In terms of physical specifications, the 1991 P quarter weighs approximately 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters. Its edge is reeded, containing 119 reeds, a feature originally intended to prevent the shaving or clipping of precious metal from silver coins. Even though the coin is no longer made of silver, the reeded edge remains as a traditional design element and an anti-counterfeiting measure. The coin's standard finish for circulation is business strike, but proof versions were also produced in 1991 at the San Francisco Mint, bearing an S mint mark and featuring a mirror-like background with frosted design elements. The mintage of the 1991 P quarter was substantial, with hundreds of millions produced to meet the needs of commerce across the United States. Because of this high mintage and its relatively recent age, the 1991 P quarter is generally common in circulation and carries little premium over face value unless found in uncirculated, mint state, condition, or with notable mint errors. Collectors often seek examples in grades such as MS65 or higher, where the coin retains strong luster and minimal contact marks. In gem condition, coins may exhibit bright cartwheel luster and sharply defined details in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, or clipped planchets can increase value significantly, depending on severity and eye appeal. The year 1991 itself sits in an interesting historical context. The United States was emerging from the Cold War era, and events such as the Gulf War were shaping global politics. While circulating coins like the 1991 P quarter do not commemorate specific events, they serve as everyday artifacts of their time, passing through millions of hands and silently witnessing daily economic life. For many Americans, quarters are associated with vending machines, parking meters, arcade games, and laundry facilities, small yet essential transactions that define ordinary routines. From a numismatic perspective, the 1991 P quarter is part of a continuous design type that lasted until 1998, just before the introduction of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. That landmark program dramatically changed the reverse design of the quarter each year to honor individual states, sparking renewed public interest in coin collecting. Thus, the 1991 P issue represents one of the final years of the classic Washington quarter reverse that had been in use since 1932. For type collectors, it is an accessible example of late 20th century U.S. coinage prior to the modern commemorative redesign era. In summary, the 1991 P. United States quarter dollar bearing the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum, is a standard circulation coin produced at the Philadelphia Mint as part of the enduring Washington Quarter series. Its copper-nickel-clad composition, neoclassical portrait by John Flanagan, heraldic eagle reverse, and symbolic mottos reflect long-standing American values of liberty, faith, unity, and strength. Although common in everyday change, the coin holds historical, artistic, and cultural significance, serving both as a practical monetary instrument and as a miniature monument to national identity. The next top. The 1993 P. United States quarter dollar is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, one of the most recognized coins in American history. This particular coin was struck in 1993 at the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the small P mint mark located on the obverse front of the coin. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse features a left-facing portrait of George Washington based on a bust created by French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon in 1786. Above Washington's head appears the word Liberty, while the national motto, In God We Trust, is inscribed to the left of the portrait. The date, 1993, is positioned on the lower right side of the obverse. The reverse back of the 1993 quarter features a heraldic eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation, with olive branches below representing peace. Above the eagle is the inscription, United States of America, and below it the denomination quarter dollar. The Latin phrase E Pluribus Unum, meaning out of many one, appears above the eagle's head. This design was standard for Washington quarters from 1932 until 1998, before the state quarters program began in 1999. The 1993 P quarter is composed of a copper-nickel-clad composition introduced in 1965, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. It weighs approximately 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, and a reeded, grooved edge with 119 reeds. Unlike quarters minted before 1965, it contains no silver. The coin was struck for general circulation, and the mintage for the Philadelphia issue in 1993 exceeded 639 million coins, making it relatively common in circulated grades. Because of this high mintage, most 1993 P quarters found in circulation today are worth only their face value of 25 cents unless they are in uncirculated condition or exhibit exceptional quality. Coins graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services may carry a modest premium, and rare high-grade examples, such as MS-67 or above, can be more desirable to collectors. The inscriptions on the coin carry deep historical and cultural meaning. Liberty represents the foundational American principle of freedom, a value central to the nation since its founding. In God We Trust, first appearing on U.S. coins during the Civil War era in the 1860s, became the official national motto in 1956. E Pluribus Unum, adopted in 1782 as part of the Great Seal of the United States, reflects the unity of the states forming one nation. Together, these inscriptions emphasize American identity, faith, unity, and democratic ideals. The portrait of George Washington reinforces the country's connection to its revolutionary origins and constitutional foundations. In terms of collectability, the 1993 P. Washington Quarter is often included in Dayton Mintmark sets of Washington Quarters assembled by hobbyists. Collectors typically examine condition, luster, strike quality, and the presence of contact marks when evaluating the coin. Because Philadelphia mint coins prior to 1980 did not always carry mint marks, the P mint mark on this 1993 issue clearly identifies its origin, reflecting a practice that began in 1980 for the 1-cent coin and earlier for other denominations. Error coins, such as those with off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet defects, can command higher prices depending on rarity and visual appeal. Historically, 1993 was not a transition year for quarter design, but it falls within the late modern clad era of U.S. coinage, a period characterized by high-volume production and widespread everyday use. The Philadelphia Mint, established in 1792, is the oldest mint facility in the United States and has produced billions of coins for circulation. The Washington Quarter itself remained unchanged in basic portrait design for decades, demonstrating the enduring respect for George Washington's legacy in American culture. Overall, the 1993 United States quarter dollar represents a standard circulation coin of its time, embodying national symbolism through its portrait, mottos, and eagle imagery. While not rare, it holds historical significance as part of the broader Washington Quarter series and as a reflection of late 20th century American coinage. For collectors and historians alike, it offers insight into U.S. minting practices, national values expressed through coin inscriptions, and the continued commemoration of George Washington on everyday currency.